Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our series of meetings this evening. We actually have two meetings tonight. We're going to start with the Jersey Village Crime Control and Prevention District meeting, and then we'll go into the regular session after that. So we'll get rolling on this. We're going to open the meeting. Madam Secretary, quorum is present?
Yes.
All right, going to go into item B, consider approval of the minutes of the CCP meeting held July 16th, 2019. Looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes from the CCP meeting on July 16th.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? I'm in favor. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move into item C, discuss and take appropriate action concerning any final budget changes to the proposed 2019-2020 Crime Control and Prevention District budget. Isabel Cato. Or Chief, if you'd like to expand on those changes.
Mayor, Council, you have before you the Crime Control and Prevention District budget. We do have two amendments to add since the last meeting. The first amendment is the tax receipt revenue line item from by $280,000, an increase of from $1,625,000 to $1,905,000. The second line item would be the personnel cost increased by $9,796. And then we ask that you include those in the budget as presented. Do you have any questions over the budget? Since we already met on this once before. Those are the only two amendments that we have since the meeting.
Okay. Anybody have any discussion on those items?
This may be more for Isabel. Is this just based on an increase in the projected revenues to be received?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more discussion on that topic? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move we increase CCPD budget on tax receipts revenues line item 50-10-7623 by $280,000 and increase the personnel cost line item 50-27-5523 by $9,796.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion on that topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Consider item E, consider resolution number 2019. Oh, I'm in item D. Conduct a public hearing. I now call to order this public hearing on the City of Jersey Village Crime Control and Prevention District's proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. Everyone desiring to speak at this hearing should complete a public hearing comment card and present to the City Secretary. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to present information concerning the district's proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. At this time, Chief of Police Eric Forster will summarize the subject of this public hearing.
Mayor, Council, there are no further changes other than what has been presented to the Crime Control Prevention District budget.
Thank you, sir. And do we have any public comment cards for this public hearing?
No.
Okay. There being no one desiring to speak, and now closes this public hearing on the City of Jersey Village Crime Control Prevention District proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. And that moves us into item E, consider resolution number 2019-03 adopting budget for the ensuing fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2020 in accordance with Chapter 363 of the Texas Local Government Code and the alternative procedures adopted by the district and providing for the effective date thereof. Looking for a motion on that.
I move to approve resolution number 2019-03.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moves us into item F, election and appointment of officers. So currently the president is of the Crime Control Prevention District would be myself, and the vice president is Bobby Warren, and the city secretary serves as the secretary for the district. Does anybody want to make any changes to that? And if not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the officers as mentioned.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to nominate Andrew Mitchum as president, Bobby Warren as vice president, and the city secretary as the secretary.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, that'll adjourn the Crime Control Prevention District Board meeting. Take a brief recess to get everybody situated. And if you'd like to make a public comment during the regular session or during the public hearing in the regular session, please go ahead and fill out a comment card and bring it up to the city secretary. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Jersey Village City Council regular session meeting. Madam Secretary, a quorum is present.
Yes.
Item B, invocation and pledge by former City Council member Sherry Shepherd.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to ask for your protection over this wonderful city and all that serve it. Our city leaders, our department heads, our police and firefighters, our EMS, and our citizen volunteers. We ask for sound guidance as decisions are made tonight and on a go-forward basis, and we ask for the peace of understanding. We thank you for your many blessings, and we ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay, so move us into item C. C1, receive the adopted fiscal year 2019-20 budget from the Jersey Village Crime Control and Prevention District. Lori Cudi.
Yes, Mayor, this item is just to receive the adopted budget from the Crime Control Board.
Looking for a motion to receive.
Just need to make a announcement into the record that you've received it.
I will announce that we have received it.
I move we receive the CCPD budget.
Okay, that'll move us into item C2, conduct a public hearing on the Jersey Village Crime Control Prevention District's budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. I now call to order this public hearing on the Jersey Village Crime Control Prevention District's budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Everyone desiring to speak at this hearing should complete a public hearing comment card and present it to the city secretary. The purpose of today's hearing is to give all interested parties the right to appear and be heard concerning the Crime Control Prevention District's adopted budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. And I would now like to request Chief of Police Eric Forster to summarize the subject of the public hearing.
Mayor, Council, is a review and public hearing for the hopefully soon-to-be adopted Crime Control and Prevention Board budget.
Thanks, sir. Anybody sign up to speak for this public hearing?
No.
Okay. There being no one desiring to speak, I now close this public hearing on the Jersey Village Crime Control Prevention District's adopted budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Moves us into item 3, consider resolution number 2019-50, adopting the Jersey Village Crime Control and Prevention District's budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. I am looking for a motion on this.
I'll move we approve resolution number 2019-50.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on this topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. I'll move us into item D, presentation of Employee of the Month from our City Manager, Austin Blease.
Mayor and councilors, it is my honor tonight to introduce to you Jennifer Johnson, our Employee of the Month for the month of August. Jennifer is a huge asset to the golf course and works endless hours each week, making sure golf operations are running smoothly. Besides normal duties for golf operations, she makes sure that the backyard grill runs properly for our customers and outside tournaments. She also works extra hours as our lead instructor when conducting clinics and our junior programs and camps. She's great with the junior campers, always has a smile on her face, and is always putting the golf course first in everything that she does. No rock is left unturned with Jennifer. She leads by example, and there is no job that Jennifer will not step up to help with. There have been many times when she stays longer than scheduled to help card attendants or marshals complete their tasks so they can leave at a decent time, or come into work earlier than scheduled to help staff prepare for the day. There's really no job in the entire golf operations that Jennifer hasn't done herself, and that all employees she manages respect her for that. As her supervisor, Matt Jones, noted on her nomination form, I have been in the golf business for 35 years, and I have never had an employee that would be more deserving of this award than Jennifer Johnson. Jennifer, congratulations, and thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you. Okay, I wasn't crying in that one, so.
Thank you, Jennifer. You're doing an awesome job. All right, moves us into item E, citizen comments. Citizens who have signed a card and wish to speak to the council will be heard at this time. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, unless the subject matter of the comment is on the agenda, the city staff and city council members are prevented from discussing the subject and may respond only with statements of factual information or existing policy. Citizens are limited to 5 minutes for their comments to city council. See, I have our state representative here today, John Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I always appreciate that you all allow me to come to your meetings, speak to the public here. I'll be pretty brief today. I just want to give a quick update. I hope you will indulge me turning my back and talking to the people of Jersey Village. Well, first I want you to know I'm here for you. So that's why I come to these meetings, because I'm here for you. And I'm here for you guys too. So my district director, April Henshaw, is right here. She offices in our office over on Jones Road in the Cy-Fair Federal Credit Union, Weston Jones. Okay, so we're open. You can walk in, you can make appointments, you can talk to me. Also, I've got a town hall coming up. We're going to be at Cy Falls High School, where my son graduated from. And that's going to be on September the 5th at 6 o'clock in the evening. The high school's on Huffmeister right at Tuckerton. So please feel free to come. I'll answer all your questions to the best of my ability. You all too. Thank you so much for indulging me.
Thank you, John. Mark Malloy.
My name's Mark Malloy, and I live at 7803 Hamilton Circle. I was a past city council member for the city of Jersey Village, Texas, and this is my citizens' comments for the 8/19/2019 city council meeting. Please make my verbal comments and documents given to the city secretary a permanent record of this meeting. So anyway, I'm here again to talk about the city and the amount of money that the city is spending on the city-owned golf course. And to me, it looks like many council members believe that if they get elected or appointed, that they are the small 5-citizen group that gets to make all the decisions no matter how much of the taxpayers' money will be spent. The city government, per them, has accumulated a stockpiled $17.5 million, which they are now spending on their city government wants without letting the taxpayers vote as a community on if that's what the majority of the community wants. The city government has made the decision to move the City Hall facility out of the original 1956 City of Jersey Village incorporated land area with no citizen taxpayer approval. A past city council in the budget year 1999-2000 made their decision to buy a golf course for an estimated $7.4 million without allowing the citizens, taxpayers, to decide if they wanted to take on the debt. The city government used certificates of obligation to bypass the taxpayers' approval to purchase the golf course. The golf course has cost the citizens, taxpayers of Jersey Village millions and millions of dollars over the years since the golf course was purchased, and will cost them much, much more money into the future years. The city government is currently intending to spend anywhere from $700,000 to what was estimated to be by one of their consultants $1 million or more to build a supplemental wastewater irrigation system for the golf course by pumping treated wastewater from the Castle Bridge waste treatment plant to the golf course. The city government is also planning to spend, but have not, to my knowledge, set a maximum amount of money to be spent to build a new golf course, clubhouse, convention center facility. The 3 contractor bids that were received recently from the city's bid request were over $5 million to $7 million. What is the maximum amount of city revenue that the city government is going to spend on the total, complete, full operational golf course, clubhouse, convention center, including the parking lot and any other associated costs? The citizens, taxpayers should be told the full cost before the project is started, and they should be given the right to vote to decide if they want to spend their taxes on the project. There's an old saying, if you don't like what is happening, you can fight it or make the decision that it is not worth it. I have chosen to fight to inform the citizens about the continual wasteful spending of their taxes on an extremely costly 126-acre fenced-in, heavily chemically applicated, heavily watered, well-manicured, taxpayer-funded private park that the taxpayers have no access to unless they're willing to pay a greens fee. I believe that golf courses should be non-governmentally owned ventures, not taxpayer forced to pay for by their city government so-called amenities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody else desiring to speak? Okay. I actually do have two cards, but I'm assuming they're for the hotel. Okay. we'll hang on to those. Move us into item F, City Manager's Report. Austin Blease.
Mayor and councilors, we have the report in front of you here this evening. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions for Austin?
Yeah, Austin, can you give us an update on the event center and where we're at on that with the bids?
So as you know, we received 3 bids. We turned all those down. We have been working with PJL, the architect. They are contracting with a cost estimator right now to see exactly where they missed the mark on their costs. That will probably take 2 to 3 weeks before we get information back on that, and then we'll be sitting down with them again to figure out our next steps, whether that's trimming a few things back or what exactly to do. If it's going to be anything substantial, we'll definitely bring that to the council before we make any other steps forward.
Anything else for Austin? Okay. Move us along to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any of the items from the consent agenda and move them on to the regular session agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Move us into the regular session. Item number 1, consider resolution number 2019-56, setting the maximum proposed ad valorem tax rate, setting dates for any public hearings on the proposed tax rate, and setting the date City Council will adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 ad valorem tax rate. And I guess, Isabel, go ahead and brief us on this topic.
Okay, the staff recommends keeping the tax rate at 0.7425, even though our effective tax rate will be 0.7733. It changed a little bit from what we wrote on the agenda, because I got a call today from Harris County saying that we need to revise our numbers. So I went ahead and did the calculation with the new numbers that Harris County provided. So the effective tax rate now is 0.7733. The effective tax rate generates the same amount of revenue in the new fiscal year on a taxable property that was in the tax roll the previous year. In approving this, since the council increased the homestead exemption this year to 14% from 8% and also increased the over 65 and disability section, the tax rate will have to increase to bring in the same amount of revenue. Staff is recommending keeping the same tax rate as last year to fully maximize the exemption increases. The tax rate also worked within our budget constraint for this fiscal year. I wanted to add that in approving this resolution, Council is not setting the tax rate for fiscal year 2019-2020, as that will be accomplished during September 16, 2019 meeting. Approving the resolution states that City Council will not exceed a tax rate of 0.7425 cents per 100 taxable value. Do you have any questions?
So what was the effective tax rate that you got back today?
The effective tax rate is 0.77733, and I want to say that City Council could go up to 0.77733, and we don't have to have the meetings, the 2 meetings, because 0.77733 will bring the same amount of revenue to the general fund from last year.
Okay. I just kind of wanted to know what it was. Okay. Any questions for Isabel?
Isabel, just to reemphasize what you're telling us, if we vote to pass this, is this a resolution or? Thank you. Pass this resolution that the overall amount that we are projected to bring in from property taxes, from all ad valorem taxes, will be lower than last year.
That is correct.
And that's aside from the increases in the over 65, the disabled, and the residential homestead exemption, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Anyone else? Okay. This is a record vote, so I'm going to go ahead and read the script for this. I'm looking for a motion to approve resolution number 2019-56, setting the maximum proposed ad valorem tax rate, setting dates and necessary public hearing for any necessary public hearings on the proposed tax rate, and setting the date City Council will adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 ad valorem tax rate.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2019-56, setting the maximum proposed ad valorem tax rate, setting dates for any necessary public hearings on the proposed tax rate, and setting the date City Council will adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 ad valorem tax rate.
Second.
All right, I'll now call upon each council member by name to take a record vote. Once your name is called, answer aye to signify your approval of the motion, or nay to signify your disapproval. Councilmember Wasson, state your vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Holden, state your vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren, state your vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton, state your vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Webenhorst, state your vote.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Move on to the next agenda item. Item number 2, receive an update in accordance with the Texas Water Development Board grant on the new storm siren. Chief Mark Pitts.
There we go. Should be up there. Mayor and Council, citizens of Jersey Village, I'm here to give you an update on the Texas Water Development Board's rules and regulations for when we get a grant with them. We have to give you a report, give the citizens a report. So before I do that, I'd like to introduce from the Texas Water Development Board, Sarah Husted. Come on up, Sarah.
Hello, I am the contract manager for this flood early warning system project. It's been a really short project.
Yeah.
Y'all have really gotten on the ball, so that's great. I've been with the Water Development Board for almost 2 years and just been managing some grants. So it's been great. We've had a really good working relationship, and anytime that y'all need a flood early warning system upgrade maybe in the future, let us know. We're hoping to open the new cycle October 1st. So just let you know.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
So Sarah's been my main contact, and she drove all the way from Austin today to get here just to say hello and watch us do this, because it is a requirement. Little history, in 2018, we applied for the grant, and in January, we received approval for the grant. We ordered the siren at the end of January. The company, Storm Sirens, called us in April saying it was ready. They came down in May, installed it. We had an issue with the UPS, which was the brainchild of the storm siren. When it hit a certain volume, it would shut down. So they reordered a new one, and we got the most updated stuff at that time. They came back down in June, installed it, and now the system is ready to go at any time that we signal an event. However, we have had a little hiccup with our wonderful energy provider in the area, CenterPoint. They will not install the meter. We've had a few issues with the address. So I think we're at the point where it's about to be done. We've had several emails and phone calls back and forth, so I think very soon we can have it running for you today if we need to. We'll just send the rescue truck down there and plug it in. The Texas Water Development Board, again, been working with Sarah now for a little while. We were granted additional time based on the hiccup that we had, and so they gave us till January 2020, but we will have everything to Sarah within the next month and have everything completed. We've given them 3 quarterly reports as required, and so we're very soon getting half reimbursements, which is going to be $15,475. This was your map. Right in the center where you see Jersey Village, there's a little red dot, so that's where the siren is has been installed. It's behind the volleyball court. Felt that that was the best spot for it, that closest to the bayou areas where we had flooding. It should be able, when sounded, to have in-building coverage, meaning they should hear the siren in their home. Other than that, the first day that we actually tested it at full volume, we were getting phone calls from Wellwyn and Chichester going, what in the world is that? So we know it'll reach the furthest streets that we have. Just a little photo op here of the installation when they were drilling the holes to install the storm siren. The picture to the right, the pole to the left in that picture is the siren pole, and the pole to the right is the electric pole. That's what the siren looks like, not up vertically. And then to the picture to the right is what it looks like vertically above the tree, and that is Dan, and the picture to the left, the guy that did the installation. So we're preparing, this is our policy on quarterly testing. We will do this 4 times a year, once per quarter. It'll be done between the times of noon and 2 p.m. It will only last 15 minutes. Only one tone series will be at full volume at each test. I can lower the volume there, making sure everything works, and then one final test at full volume. And each quarter we will highlight one of the sirens, either a tornado, the shelter, evacuation, flooding, to do all 4 in 1 year. And we'll test it from site, and also our dispatch consoles will be able to send it off. If an officer's in the area sees a tornado on the ground, they can ask for that to happen, and it's immediate. They hit 2 buttons and the sound goes. People in the park will be notified just before the start to allow them time to either leave or make accommodations for ear protection. And that's about all I have to give you, if you have any questions.
I guess that last one was my question, is what was the chance of somebody suffering ear damage?
It's pretty loud. I stood underneath it. Still can hear you. We're going to make sure people are not in the area when it goes off. During an emergency, I don't know if we're going to have anybody standing right there, but
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anybody be in the park if you got.
Yeah, if we got
something
rain
going
coming,
on, yeah.
you're most likely not going to have anybody. If we have a tornado, we probably have rain. I could see maybe a shelter in place or an evacuation if we have hazardous material incident on the freeway and the wind is headed towards the city. We want people to shelter or evacuate. Those might be times where people might be out.
My other question is, it's nice to draw a circle on a map, but have you done any kind of testing with people that live on those edges to actually report that they heard it?
No, we haven't. But there is a desire by me to add a few more sirens throughout the city. If I think that might be worth it. We've had a few complaints when we put it on Facebook from people saying, "What about us over in the orange rooftop houses?"
Yeah, the lakes.
The lakes and stuff.
Chief, I think Wellwyn is on the far end of that range, and you said you got phone calls from Wellwyn.
We did, from Wellwyn and Chichester. And if you look at the circle, it's all out of our city. It's beyond the bypass channel, beyond the Beltway, south of 290. So it does reach a good distance. Does it reach the whole city? No, it doesn't, but it reaches the majority of the residential area.
I can personally vouch for the sound. I'm 6 houses down from it. And I got some great video of my dogs when the test happened, thinking the world was about to end. So, but I kind of echo Gary. We may want to send a warning out on the Facebook and Nextdoor and Twitter pages, maybe a day in advance. I can just imagine if my daughters were home by themselves, not knowing what was going on.
Right. We did that this last time. Austin put it out on social media. It was on Facebook and you tweeted it, right? So.
It's very effective, and thank you very much for putting that up.
Okay, so the question was how are they going to know what it sounds like? It talks to you. So when the tone goes off, it says tornado warning, take shelter. When it's a shelter in place, it says shelter in place. So they will know what it is because the tone goes off for 30 seconds, and then it tells you what it is.
And you can hear that from the far reaches of...
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's very effective.
And Chief, I think I saw some of the same complaints regarding some of the outer reaches of the city that maybe weren't covered by it. I think it's probably important to note that one of the initial impetuses for this was flooding and the difficulty in getting out to all of the homes that are in that area. But also, I think that this doesn't take the place of police response and following up. And so obviously, I think this just enables our officers to be able to get out to those areas where maybe it won't reach, to know that the people closest to it are definitely going to hear it. And if they don't hear that, there's nothing the officers can do other than to go into their homes to let them know that something's going on.
Correct. This was an initiative for flooding, and this reaches all the homes that flooded. That's the important thing. It's a baby step here. I'd love to do 2 or 3 more around the city, but this was a first step to see how it does, and I think it'll be effective, especially around the bayou areas where we have the most problems.
Well, I appreciate the state for the grant, and it sounds like it opens up October 1st, so maybe we get some more.
Maybe.
All right. Anything else? Thank you, Chief. All right, item number 3, discuss and take appropriate action concerning a progress report from the owners of the property located at 16884 Northwest Freeway, Jerseyville, Texas, concerning the progress on the performance of the permitted work required under Ordinance 2019-11, which found the structures on the property to be substandard and a public nuisance. Christian Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and those citizens in attendance. As we typically do, I'm going to introduce the representatives for Jersey Village Lodging LLC. Kathleen Jones with Patel Gaines, attorneys at law, representing Jersey Village LLC, and Mr. Chan Patel, the principal owner, for 16884 Northwest Freeway, aka Super 7. And Chetan Patel, or Chet Patel, with R&K Patel Design and Planning LLC. He serves as the principal project liaison with me as per the order 2019-11. So I'll turn it over to the both of them. No one in particular first. They both had cards, so.
Good evening. So as Mr. Summers said, we do have the project manager with me today to help answer any questions that y'all may have about the status of this particular project. Since our last meeting, all applications, drawings, and documentation has been submitted, and we anticipate approval for permits this week, and so we can get going. Other than that, we're continuing to work diligently with the city's requests and requirements, and given the scope of this project, we have made significant progress since the last meeting alone. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Patel right now, and he can answer and give you, a little bit more of an update on where the process is.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens of Jersey Village. My name is Chet Patel with Archipel Design and Planning and BCI Architects.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm with Archipel Design and BCI Architects. I've been working on this project for about a month and a half with Christian, and we've progressed quite long with the drawings. We've made our third submittal officially last Monday, and Christian has been working on it, and we intend to receive some more comments in next day or two, and we're going to take those comments and rework on those drawings, and hopefully we get this building permitted basically. We've made several site visits to the building. We've recorded a lot of as-built deficiencies and everything, and we tried to address all the comments to our best knowledge and to the best codes that's there in the building. If you guys have any questions, I would take it basically.
Any questions from council?
Mr. Patel, I understand from the ordinance that there were deadlines to submit all applications for the permits necessary to repair the property by July 15th. Have those permits all been, or the applications been submitted?
We've done, so there was one application done before we got involved, and then we did the second application. After that, the drawings were reviewed again. We had more comments. Then we had the third submittal, which was last week, Monday. And right now, we are, I think, getting very close in having the building permit, basically, as long as we address all the comments, what comes from the city, basically.
So what I'm hearing is that not all applications for permits required by the ordinance have been submitted by the deadline set in the ordinance.
Yes, no.
You said this is the third submittal, so this is your, I think by what you just said, your second, because the first one was done by others?
Yes, sir.
So second submittal since our last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
Anybody else have any questions?
Miss James? Jones, sorry, I misread it on the form then. Ms. Jones, has the trespass affidavit been filed yet?
My understanding is yes, it has. It was, Mr. Summers provided us a copy. It was sent to the client, and my understanding is that they have signed it. There was no objection to it whatsoever. Is that incorrect?
Can somebody from staff confirm that? Because I was told recently it hasn't been received yet.
I am not aware of that having been received.
We have not received it yet.
I will double check on that, but we have no objection. I can have it turned over tomorrow. My understanding was that it was done previously to this. We've discussed it with them, and there's absolutely no objection to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, an update. I'll give you a little chronology of the past month. But I'll go back a little further. The occupancy taxes and fees have still not been received, $5,267, I believe. Those were paid by a previous management company for Jersey Village Lodging, LLC, to the city of Houston by mistake. Thursday, July 11th, 2019, I sent an email to Mr. Bashara with Patel Gaines and his client, Mr. Chan Patel, principal owner of the property in question, notifying them that when on my rounds that morning, which included additional concerns about possible severe weather that was predicted, as well as a report of a transient emerging from one of the rooms in Building 1 over the weekend, I thought I'd take a closer look than what I'd done the previous day. I didn't see anything unusual at Building 1, but did notice a new gap at Building 4 in the fencing. I requested that they please ensure to have someone reassess securing the structures. Also, I mentioned that temporary fencing is meant to be temporary, and now we've gone quite some time with its being utilized in lieu of something more permanent. If there are unlocked rooms, I wanted them secured by double-checking and locking the doors and other means if they don't lock. It occurred to me that the abandoned frame for the directional ground signage still not only needed to be removed per our sign ordinances, but also now because it is not secured against wind loads and could break up, block inlets, or impact other objects and structures. I wanted that removed, so I removed it and threw it in the back of the pickup truck. Mr. Bashar responded by email at 1:57 that he would visit with his client and update me shortly. Wednesday, 7/17, sent another email for the City of Houston trespass affidavit provided by Mr. Austin Blease, city manager, requesting Patel Gaines draw up something for their client to sign, have notarized and submit to the city as per the desire of council. And that city staff would address the gap in the fencing at Building 4 where the temporary fencing had pulled away from the masonry veneer near the housekeeping linen room, and provided a picture of the area of concern. 5 days later, email sent to Ms. Jones with Patel Gaines, Mr. Chan Patel, the owner, with pictures of subject property, requesting that the property be better secured and that lot maintenance be completed at rear of Buildings 2 and 4. The previous Friday evening, the fencing was not secured at Building 1 after the the landscaping crew mowed inside the temporary fence. Then on the morning of 7/22, the following Monday morning, it was still open, and now there was a new gaping section at Building 3 that you could drive a truck through. that was left open. I couldn't initially locate the pole to close the gates at Building 3, hence I sent the email. Later that morning, I was able to locate a pole, allowing me to secure the fence at Building 3. I sent another email at 11:36 a.m. explaining that Building 1 remained unsecured. Again, later that day, I couldn't quite get the gates to align such that I could reinstall a pole correctly at Building 1. I was able to jerry-rig same such that it was as secure as any other section of the temporary fencing. I also mentioned in that email I thought it a better option to install the temporary fencing across Tiny Lane on the east side and across from the pool to Building 1 and then down and around Building 1 at Taqueria Sarandas. The construction plan resubmittal came in on 7/22/2019 after the full the actual first submittal that resembled construction documents and complete, at least beyond the piecemeal submittals between the other dates. Staff identified the plans for return to the applicant with my having developed 28 comments and Chief Mark Bitts another 5 comments to address. I had 28 comments at this resubmittal because this was the first submittal that Chet Patel was involved with. The first submittal you can't really consider to be construction documents. On Tuesday, 7/23/2019, Kathleen Jones of Patel Gaines thanked me for the email update and requested that I always include Mr. Luke Bashara. I had forgotten to. I was provided no update regarding landscape maintenance at 11:46 email. At 11:46, I responded that I would include Mr. Bashara. At 11:49, I requested that Mr. Gordon Gibson, code enforcement officer, send a lot maintenance letter since neither the owner nor his counsel were responding about the lot maintenance, just that they would keep, that they would tell their client about same. Wednesday, 7/24, Mr. Gibson mailed a letter to JV Lodging LLC, but at Chapel Road, Dallas. 1 copy regular mail, 1 copy certified mail. The latter signed as received on Saturday the 27th. The letter requested abatement of violations of Section 3437, parenthetical A and parenthetical B, in relation to mowing, edging, weeding, the removal of brush, etc., including those at the rear of the buildings. Thursday, 7/24, Mr. Chet Patel, project coordinator and principal liaison, requested a meeting for the following Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Chet, I believe you called me. I was in the car on a project site. I asked that you send an Outlook invite. You forgot to. Then the following week, we had some miscommunications. I conflated one day for another, again, when I was out in the field, and there wasn't an Outlook appointment sent, but we were able to meet in the lobby for a short time and cover everything that you had questions about. Monday, 5, landscape maintenance violations were not abated. A second and final notice was mailed to the same address, and they were given 10 additional days. Monday, 8/19, this morning, to date, the violation still exists, though they had tackled over the weekend mowing the grass in the front of the buildings. Any questions about the latest plan review, comments?
Christian, it sounds like we got a situation where we started off with one problem. We've got violations of the ordinance before us, and what I'm hearing is we've got violations of other ordinances occurring as well in terms of landscaping, things of that nature.
We do. Chet's a conscientious individual. I work well with him. We have a good rapport, professional relationship. That's good. Professional relationship with Patel Gaines as well. I think the problem is their client and releasing funds to take care of issues. And that is taxing for staff. Those are resources. That affects other customers in the city's delivery options, things that typically would be achieved quickly by staff are being pushed aside as we deal with Super 7.
I have no questions for Mr. Summers, Ms. Jones, Mr. Patel. I would like to seek some. I'm not happy with the report and would love to hear some legal advice that might need to happen in executive session.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Since I couldn't understand most of what was said there by anybody, I was just going to ask specific questions based on the ordinance. Have you approved the securing of the facility? It calls for an approval by the building official.
I have approved it after I have done some work on it or had other city staff do work on it. But this type of fencing is very temporary. I would prefer that somebody be local who could go from room to room and door to door and make sure it's really secured. And now, when or if permits are issued, this is a typical type of construction fencing. And there will be more personnel on site, and I'll feel better about this. But this has been running on so long that temporary fencing is just not permanent enough. When some of the fencing you can walk up and pull the pole out.
I just wanted to know if you'd approved it.
I did approve it, yes, sir.
Okay, so you have received a mold assessment?
We received that and a revised mold assessment mentioned at last month's council meeting.
You got a written asbestos survey?
Yes, well back.
And the roof inspection report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next one, complete construction documents and a plan of action for the construction and the required repairs.
I now have construction documents that spell out a plan of action that are more thorough and comprehensive, but I do have 13 comments, relatively minor, and some that could be phased, if you will.
Okay, the last one, status of the permits. I mean, they're supposedly they're supposed to apply for permits and start work within a certain number of days.
Well, they've applied for a building permit. I can't issue a building permit without approved documents, or at least approved enough for something that could be characterized as a phase 1.
So in your opinion, at this point, if you were to get the documents and some permits and you approve the permits, is there any chance of the construction being finished by November, whatever the 180-day date is?
I seriously doubt it. You may want, Chet, do you want to speak to that?
We've already engaged a general contractor. They have given us a contract basically, and we've submitted that to the city with the breakdown cost of each and every item. And we've talked with few contractors, and we've tried to get them the final price on the whole project, but they are waiting for the building permit, and they want to see a permitted set and then give their final numbers.
Including the timeline.
Including the timeline, basically. So once everything is permitted, things are going to move fast, because we already have a GC on board, basically, right now. And that's what I've been talking to the owner and the general contractor.
Christian, sounds to me like there's going to have to be an extension on this ordinance in order for their work to be completed. So I really need to know from you whether you have confidence that it will be done and meet your specifications.
I have confidence that Mr. Patel can obtain a permit. I have very little confidence that the project will run smoothly.
Based on your knowledge of the general contractor, or what do you base that on?
I have no real knowledge of the general contractor.
So you're assuming that the general contractor won't be able to
Based on past experience.
Okay, James, go ahead.
If you mind, I didn't have questions, but we've dived into an area that I don't think very many people in this room have a lot of experience. So if you don't mind for a second, let's go on a little education on permitting. When they apply for a permit and provide you with construction documents, you've made the comment that you provide comments. Those are provided fairly quickly. You review the permit and provide comments on the plans. Those are sometimes questions, sometimes statements on the plans, and to highlight deficiencies, correct?
Very good question, very good point. To highlight deficiencies, inconsistencies, discrepancies, the fact that they may have referenced the 1899 National Electrical Code or whatever it might be, energy code issues, making sure that all the codes mesh, making sure the correct ones are referenced. our adopted and local amendments have been recognized and not just ignored.
And so those comments are received by the applicant, they revise their plans, and then send them back to you, which these are reviewed by yourself. And at this point, are they also dealing with a fire marshal review? Or
All 3 times with Mark Bitts, but
yep.
the
So
first
that
set wasn't much to
you're
look
both
at.
providing comments back, highlighting deficiencies, and asking for improvements.
Right.
And we're now on the 3rd cycle of that and over a month overdue.
Yes, and sometimes the submittals were, again, incomplete. We asked for response letters for the comments, not provide heating and cooling load calculations per ASHRAE standard 183 or an equivalent. And if the response is will do, that's not a response.
Exactly.
A response is see sheet M 2.0, upper left corner. And on that sheet, when I go to it, it's identified as a revision. It's clouded. It's got a delta symbol, number in the delta symbol. That's off to the side in the revision legend, and I can find it. So sometimes that's been a bit of a problem, but this last submittal was far better.
I would agree. We've got a very competent designer here, but we're on the 3rd revision and a month out. So thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
I think my comment is probably more a message to the owner of the property, is that they're working towards the finish line but stumbling terribly to get there. My comment is that when the first attorney got up here and made his presentation, it was sunshine and flowers the whole time. In my opinion, the owner has not lived up to that presentation. So I think council is, if we haven't reached our point already, we're very, very close. And my suggestion is that the owner commit the time and resources to get this project started and finished very quickly. It sounds like every step of the way, they're allocating just enough resources to get to the next step. That project is going to fail. That's not the presentation that attorney made. He said it was going, I'm going to go back and find the transcript, but he painted a very rosy picture, and we're not heading towards that rosy picture. It sounds like it's going to be exactly like it was prior to you guys owning it. That's not acceptable. It needs to meet all the standards. It needs to be sunshine in this community, and we're not getting there. And we're about right here at the end of the rope. So my suggestion is that the owner gets serious about doing it right, get on the ball, and meet the timeframes we set.
Yes, sir.
James had mentioned something briefly about, and of course I'm willing to hold off on this if anyone has any other questions, but James had mentioned something about conferring with legal counsel before making any decisions. So if, again, if anyone else has any other questions or wants to get any clarification or information, I'm more than happy to hold off on the motion before we do it, but I'm prepared to make a motion as needed to be able to get advice, even if it's very brief.
Well, I would like to hear from legal counsel also, but I'd like for council to be able to explore the possibility of putting some fines on going past the deadline, so that there is some financial punishment for not meeting those deadlines.
I think that's a great discussion for executive session.
Do you want to go ahead and make your motion?
I move that the City Council move into executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, specifically Texas Government Code Section 551.071, subsection 1, Parts A and B, as well as subsection 2, to conduct a closed meeting in order to consult with the city attorney regarding agenda item H3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We're going to take a brief recess while we go into executive session and reconvene the meeting when we're... All right, we're going to reconvene this regular session. The executive session was completed at 8:24 p.m. and no official action was taken. I'm going to take back up agenda item number 3, discuss and take appropriate action concerning progress report from the owners of property located at 16884 Northwest Freeway, Jersey Village, Texas. Basically, I'm just kind of going to summarize a lot of what council has brought up in our previous comments before we went into executive session, which was, you know, you have a good designer, you have a great attorney, but really what's lacking here is the ownership's sense of urgency in this, and what we really need to see moving forward is some sense of urgency from the ownership, moving this forward in any meaningful way. Right now, it's on, I can't stress this term enough, very thin ice with this council. We have made an outline, a very clear outline in our ordinance of what our expectations are, and regularly where it's the ownership has really been offending the ordinance. My personal opinion of this, and what upsets me the most, is using our city staff's time to basically be the designer, the enforcer of that project, and that's not right. It impacts, as Christian mentioned, it impacts the customer service of our city. To, you know, Jersey Village is going through a big boom right now. We have a lot of development coming in. We have a lot of interest in this area, and when a project like this sits at the very beginning and it plugs up that pipeline of development, it's impacting all of us, and we're not happy about that at all. And we're not going to stand for it anymore. So your client is on very, very thin ice, and we need to see meaningful progress. We do not want to come back here next month and have another month where the property is unmowed, it's unsecured, there's vagrants that are seen coming out of there. We want to make sure that your client understands, I want you to take this back to your client. We're no longer going to stand for it. Next month. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, the next meeting is on September 16 at 7 o'clock.
And I strongly recommend the trespass affidavit is filed as soon as humanly possible. All right, going to move on to item number 4. Consider resolution number 2019-57, authorizing rejecting all bids for the street panel project replacement project. Austin Blease.
Mayor and Councilor, recently we went out for bids for replacement of street panels on Clevedon, Kester, Smith, Rio Grande, and Congo. We had a budget for that project of $105,000. We received 2 bids, the low bid being $366,550. The city engineer is recommending that we reject all bids for this project. We can rebid the project as part of the Wall Street project. We should see a better rate for this project when bundling it with a larger one. So resolution 2019-57 is before you tonight to reject all bids for the street panel replacement project. The engineer is here as well if you have any questions for him.
Any questions for Austin?
Or whoever can answer the question. That's quite a bit of a jump over what was budgeted. Is that, do we know what the factors were involved?
The main thing was the price of the concrete per square yard. Just the fact that this is a smaller project, it seems like concrete's kind of in high demand right now. That it's kind of those two things working against us. So bundling it together with a larger project where you're going to have more quantities, the engineer feels that we'd get a better price at that point.
Anybody else? I think that's pretty wise. I mean, you economies of scale when we go out for the Wall Street bid and repaving that entire street along with some other things, tying that in should definitely bring those costs down. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm looking for a motion on the resolution.
I move we approve resolution 2019-57, rejecting all bids for the street panel replacement project.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Move on to item number 5, consider resolution number 2019-58, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the build-out of the new public works facility. Austin Blease, city manager.
Mayor and councilors, last year we bought a new building on Taylor Road to serve as the new public works facility. The building required about 2,500 square feet of build-out work to be completed. We advertised for bids. 2 bids came in. The low bid from Urban Constructors at $415,199.50. The city engineers reviewed the bids, is recommending the city award the contract to Urban Constructors.
All right, any questions for Austin?
I'm glad to see it came in under budget. You know, I thought if we were going to have another project come in over that we were snake bit, but I'm glad to see that we came in under budget.
Any other comments? All right, looking for a motion?
Move to approve resolution number 2019-58.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Move us into mayor and council comments. Councilmember Wilbenhorst.
I have only one comment. Basically, I vouch for everything that was said about the employee of the month. She's just a great employee.
I agree. I've seen Jennifer at the golf course several times. She's an incredibly hard worker, and the golf course wouldn't be the same without her. I also want to note that in Jersey Village, we value safety and security, and I certainly pray that the owners of Super 7 understand the weight of the urgency of the situation and work to provide a safe and secure, beneficial business for the city.
I'll echo sentiments about Jennifer, and on the safety and security topic, school starts next week, so make sure you be cognizant of that and drive safely, not just in Jersey Village, because we really appreciate that, but also everywhere, all around, and be aware. Summer can lull us into a sense of security, so just be aware of that.
I have nothing.
I wanted to echo what everyone said about Jennifer. I've seen her working over the golf course. She works tirelessly there. She is a fantastic employee, and particularly, I think she is a key reason why our kids' golf program has just boomed over there. I know they just had a summer camp not too long ago where I think it must have been 40 kids or 30 kids. I mean, it was a large number of kids. So for folks who say it's a dying sport, well, Jennifer seems to at least be keeping it alive in Jersey Village.
I totally agree. She does a fantastic job, and it's great to go up to the golf course and see her smiling face, and she's always got a positive attitude, and that really is not, a rare thing in our city. With our city staff, everybody, whenever you show up, everybody's working really hard, and you're all doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much for everybody who attended tonight. Thank you for your public comments. Thank you for your faith in us as city leaders, and hopefully you join us for next month. Meeting adjourned.